The Galactic Council chambers fell silent as Admiral Sarah Chen stepped forward, her worn Earth Defense Force uniform a stark contrast to the shimmering robes and bioluminescent scales of the assembled alien dignitaries. Behind her, holographics displays showed Earth's meager contribution to the upcoming war against the Devourers. 12 ships. Just 12. High Arbiter Zexthai of the hegemony clicked his mandibles in what passed for laughter among his kind. "The humans bring toys to face extinction," he announced, his translation implant making his disdain crystal clear. 12 vessels, against a swarm that has consumed 17 star systems. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the chamber. The Andromedans had brought 300 vessels, each the size of a small moon. The Silicon Collective offered 500 crystalline warships that could phase through solid matter. Even the peaceful Kepler Union had mustered 80 bioships, grown from modified leviathans. "Earth's fleet is modest," admitted Counselor Ithara, her four eyes blinking in what might have been sympathy. "Perhaps they should remain in the rear guard, away from the primary engagement zones." Admiral Chen's jaw tightened, but her voice remained steady. "With respect, Counselor, Earth didn't ask to hide behind anyone. We came here to fight." "Fight?" Zexthai's laugh was harsh. "Your largest vessel is barely a kilometer long. Our scouts are larger than your flagship. What could 12 tiny ships possibly contribute against an enemy that devoured the Titan worlds?" Chen stepped closer to the holographic display showing the enemy formation. The Devourer swarm stretched across light years, a writhing mass of biomechanical horrors that consumed entire planets for fuel. Intelligence reports suggested over 10,000 vessels, each one a nightmare fusion of living tissue and dark technology. "May I ask," Chen said quietly, "how the mighty fleets of your species have fared against them so far?" The chamber grew uncomfortable. The truth was written in the casualty reports. Despite their massive ships and advanced technology, every engagement had ended in retreat. The Devourers adapted too quickly, evolved countermeasures in real time, turned each species' strengths against them. "We have been studying their tactics," Zexthai admitted grudgingly, "learning their weaknesses." "Running," Chen corrected. "You've all been running, and now you're out of space to run to." She gestured to the tactical display. "They're 3 systems away from the core worlds. This is humanity's first encounter with them, and we came to fight, not study." Fleet Admiral Korthax of the Andromedan Empire, his massive form towering over the other delegates, leaned forward. "Your courage is admirable, human, but courage without capability is merely suicide. What could your primitive weapons possibly do that our quantum disruptors and reality shapers could not?" Chen smiled, and for the first time since entering the chamber, she looked genuinely pleased. "You're about to find out." The battle began 48 hours later at the Proxima threshold, where the combined galactic fleet made its last stand. As expected, the alien armadas took point, massive vessels bristling with exotic weaponry that could crack moons and fold space itself. The Devourers met them with equal fury. The enemy swarm moved like a living thing, individual ships acting as neurons in a vast malevolent brain. They adapted to each attack within minutes. Quantum disruptors were neutralized by quantum dampeners. Reality shapers found their targets suddenly non-existent, and bioweapons were consumed and turned into fuel. One by one, the mighty ships of the galaxy began falling back. Andromedans retreated as their moon-sized dreadnoughts were consumed from within. Silicon Collective vessels found their phase capabilities turned against them, becoming trapped between dimensions. The Kepler Union's bioships were corrupted, turned into twisted versions of themselves. From their position at the rear of the formation, Admiral Chen watched the rout unfold. Her 12 ships held formation, waiting. "Admiral," came the voice of Captain Rodriguez from the UES Indomitable. "The Hegemony flagship is requesting immediate support. They're being overwhelmed." Chen checked her tactical display. The beautiful formations of the galactic fleet had devolved into chaos. Ships fled in all directions while the Devourer swarm pressed forward, growing larger with each vessel it consumed. All ships, Chen broadcasted on the human fleet channel. Battle Protocol Omega, weapons free. Ma'am, Lieutenant Park's voice carried from the weapons console. Targeting solutions locked. All ships reporting ready. Chen took a breath. Humanity had learned hard lessons in their expansion across space. They'd learned that in the black between stars, you couldn't rely on exotic technologies that might fail, or complex systems that could be turned against you. Sometimes the old ways were the best ways. Fire, she ordered. 12 ships, each barely a kilometer long, opened fire simultaneously. But what erupted from their weapons wasn't energy beams or exotic particles. It was metal, solid, dense, hypervelocity metal. The UES Indomitable alone carried 48 railguns, each one capable of accelerating a 2-ton tungsten slug to 15% light speed. Her sister ships were similarly armed. In the space of 30 seconds, Earth's tiny fleet unleashed a barrage that would have made their ancestors proud. Over 2,000 rounds of good old-fashioned kinetic energy. The Devourer swarm, busy adapting to quantum weapons and reality shapers, never saw it coming. The tungsten slugs hit with the force of nuclear weapons, and the beauty of kinetic energy was its simplicity. There was nothing to adapt to, nothing to corrupt or turn. Physics was physics. Ships the size of asteroids simply stopped. Massive biomechanical constructs found themselves torn apart by chunks of metal moving at relativistic speeds. The swarm's perfect coordination faltered as gaps appeared in their formation. Reload and fire at will, Chen ordered calmly. The second barrage was even more devastating. The Devourers tried to adapt, tried to evolve defenses against the primitive weapons, but how do you evolve against a tungsten slug moving at 50,000 kilometers per second? How do you adapt to Newton's laws? Across the Galactic Council, fleet alien commanders watched in stunned silence as humanity's 12 small ships methodically tore the heart out of an enemy that had terrorized the galaxy. No exotic physics, no reality-bending technology, just humans doing what humans had always done best. Throwing rocks, albeit very fast rocks, very accurately. Magnificent, whispered Admiral Korthax, his massive form trembling with something that might have been awe. High Arbiter Zexthai's mandibles had gone completely still. How? He finally managed to ask over the comm. Chen's reply was simple. We're human. We don't just study our enemies or run from them. We find the biggest stick we can carry and we hit them with it until they stop moving. As the Devourer swarm broke apart under the sustained kinetic bombardment, fleeing in all directions for the first time in recorded history, the galaxy learned a valuable lesson about Earth's small fleet. Sometimes size didn't matter. Sometimes technology wasn't everything. Sometimes all you needed was the will to fight and the wisdom to know that some problems could only be solved with superior firepower and the determination to use it. The cannons had roared across the stars, and the galaxy would never underestimate humanity again.